can the current opposition defeat Modi ji?
The country that was inherited by the BJP was in a big mess.
A month back or 2 months back, they were saying 400 paar and all that. Now some experts are saying that that even 250 is a challenge.
Everybody should feel safe in the country and should be allowed to voice their own opinion.
Do you think that's happening?
No, it's not.
You run a business, so have you received any notice?
Regarding?
ED, CBI. And on a serious note, I am saying that are Muslims feeling unsafe because of the establishment? Why would you be allowed in public, go out in public and say Allahu Akbar, or for that matter, Jai Shri Ram as well?
So, if you want to say Jai Shri Ram, then you should be okay with it if he's saying what he wants to say.
Is the judiciary compromised, or was it ever was? Even hardcore Congress supporters, whether they are few or many, we don't know that. But they don't have much good to say about Rahul Gandhi. Before, I think Rajiv Gandhi in one of his official interviews or press conferences said that देते तो हम 100 रुपए हैं लेकिन लोगों तक भी पहुंचते. Exactly. 65% are going to vote, but they are voting for different people. So that's why the collective vote share of anyone other than Modi is not even close to 35%. See, the intent that I want to stop black money can never be wrong. But for that, I will make sure that all the notes don't exist from tomorrow. That is stupid.
And for the people, it's very simple. Cast your vote, don't vote your caste.
Today's podcast is really significant if you consider yourself a nationalist. And by nationalist, I don't mean chest-thumping jingoism and believing and trying to convince everyone around you that everything is right about the country. At the same time, nationalism also doesn't mean being anti-establishment, questioning everything that's happening around you, being a rebel, and just thinking that everything is wrong and being a pessimist about things. Over-optimism cannot mean nationalism. Being a pessimist doesn't mean nationalism. It's about being realistic. Look around you, have an informed political opinion, pay your taxes on time, don't litter on the road. These are the small things that can mean nationalism. I mean, as common citizens, this is what nationalism would mean. You're not going to go in the army and fight a battle every day, right? So this podcast, is an attempt to that. I have spoken to my friend today. His name is Arnav. He runs a business in Mumbai, a factory, and he interacts with his workers. We both run businesses. We have our daily interactions, with our employees. At the same time, we interact with our clients, industrialists, different people from different walks of life. So we have a very, ground kind of an opinion, what's happening actually, the ground reality. So this podcast is about that. We've covered everything from the hits and misses of the Modi government for the past 10 years, what it looks like in these elections, how the Congress can revive, what the people really want, the judiciary, the Hindu-Muslim angle. We've spoken about it all as much as to the best of our knowledge, and we believe that we have an honest, informed opinion on this. So this conversation will come out very raw, very informed. A lot of TV journalists and podcasters who speak on YouTube, they are either too right wing or too left wing, and instantly, it's not their fault because they hang out in a particular kind of a circle. So their vision is limited to that extent. But that's not the case with us. As I told you, that we interact with a lot of people, different people, and it's exactly what we feel. Since the elections are going on, we thought we'll bring out this conversation with you. This is something we keep talking about off camera as well. Politics was never, one of those topics in India which was spoken of 20 years back. It was in India mainly, if you see, it was just cricket and Bollywood. But with the social media and all, politics has also become like, sort of certain things that happen in politics are so quickly posted on social media. So a lot of people would watch it and, develop a keen interest in it. So I think this will be something that people will like. Also, if you are liking our content and, not subscribing, then please, like and subscribe, because that's what will, bring us a lot of encouragement. And in this podcast, we are open to any kind of criticism or, praise or whatever you want. But one thing you would not question in this podcast is our intent. Was elections a year, voting has started happening phase-wise. What everyone is asking is, kya lag raha hai? What does it look like?
Seems like a saffron wave. Seems like BJP is doing well everywhere, as it was expected. How many seats they are going to come, that let's leave it for June 4th to decide. Because this is just going to be unnecessary arithmetic.
Correct.
From every state you get so many seats, you get so many seats. But what is going to be interesting this time that I want to see is in the traditional non-BJP voters, how much of that caste is breaking and getting into that. which is basically what I mean is
South India.
South India, also heavy Muslim population belts, because he's done decent amount of work. So that would be interesting to see how he's being well received. Also, in the places where he's been voted before, so is there incumbency? Because, okay, at the center level, you're voting for a prime minister, but in every constituency, you still have your MP, a member of parliament who you are voting for. But the actual test is, has the member of parliament performed in the past 10 years? Look, the first 5 years all went in that the previous 75 years, nothing was done. This was done. It all went in undoing that. Now, in the next 5 years, there was a big nightmare of COVID that we went through. So there was that issue that India came out of. But the past 2-3 years have been pretty stable. I mean, after we came out of the COVID phase, and it's been more about employment and economy and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to look at that.
But I also feel that I think this time the challenge more so for the BJP is to capture those voters who are fence sitters. Like, the extreme BJP hardliners, who are, the term that is used for them on social media is bucks. Those are going to still vote for Modi or BJP. But there are those, like
Swing
people,
vote.
you could go either way. I don't see them yet voting for the opposition, but they might not come out to vote. And that is what is reflecting in the phase 1 and phase 2. Like the voter percentage has continuously dropped compared to 2014 and 19. At least from 19, there has been a drop. So I think there are two reasons for this drop. One reason is that, even Modi's fans think that, Aayega to Modi. So, whether you go to vote or, don't go, that enthusiasm is missing. Second thing is that someone who's anti him still thinks that, Aayega to yahi. So what is the point of going to vote? So because of that, the voting percentage has decreased, if you go to see.
Voting percentage has decreased, but in this, I would like to weigh in for one more thing, that I feel honestly that the voting has been taken in this season where we are facing extreme amount of heat.
I was there in 19 as well. May same time.
Agreed, but so I think honestly, I think they should change the season also for voting, because it is.
Are the people facing the heat, or is it the BJP who's facing the heat this time?
BJP is facing the heat every day, if you ask me honestly.
No, in terms of the numbers that we are looking at, a month back or 2 months back, they were saying 400 paar and all that. Now some experts are saying that fewer experts are saying that, but they are saying that even 250 is a challenge. So what's the thing? Is it that before every election they try to create this drama, or it's looking like a clean sweep right?
This drama is going to continue, Rushabh. See, it's very difficult to understand what is in the voter's mind till he goes and actually presses the button. What is he looking for? What is the thing? What exactly everybody is looking for? See, we are a geographically diverse country where Kashmir needs and Kanyakumari needs are very different. That is why this whole system has been built, where you, in every constituency, you vote for the person who has done the best work.
Correct.
So you vote for your best member of parliament, and you read the manifesto of the party as to what they are offering you, whether your MP has done enough of work or not. What
people read the manifesto.
That is what I'm coming to. And that is the thing. And even with the MPs and all, how many times have you interacted with the MP of your constituency? Was Arvind Sawant is the sitting MLA sitting MP, in India, I mean in South Bombay for the past 10 years. How many times have you interacted with him? Or for a matter of fact, have I also interacted with him? Never. I've not seen him in person.
Correct. So then I think we, all of us, even when we voted for Arvind Sawant, I didn't know anything about him.
Of course, we
voted to get a certain party. I mean, let's not say who we voted for or who people should vote for, because we don't want to influence anyone. But I'm saying you vote for a candidate. Modi is the, single person in the, probably in the history of elections. We were not there at the Rajiv Gandhi time, so comment on that. But I think he's one person who's made sure that the local candidate is almost irrelevant. You have voted for an Arvind Sawant to get BJP into power.
But that has been happening from 2014. I don't know if you remember, in 2014, at Haji Ali, right opposite Hirapana Shopping Center, there used to be a big board which used to actually show that if you press the button for the then Shiv Sena, which was together, as in the bow and arrow, the vote will come to Modi. And there was an arrow down, and there's a picture of Modi. So this is how they have marketed themselves this way.
Correct.
Moving forward, in 2019, when their alliance also had a problem, as in their BJP Shiv Sena alliance had a problem, at that point of time also, what was the narrative of all the senior BJP? That you have taken votes in the name of Narendra Modi. So they have been selling this only for years, that whatever it is at the what they have been saying is that what is at the national level makes sense. What is at your local level does not make sense. But I somehow don't believe this, because I feel that it is an effort of all collective people in every constituency of theirs, which will, moving forward, bring a party into majority. Because if one party is doing well, it can't be that one minister is doing well. Everybody has to do well. And the more number of people you are going to impact, the more number of votes you're going to get.
Correct.
It's as simple as that.
Correct. So then with that brings us to the fact that, what are the good things? Obviously, there must be, every government has their achievements.
Of course, they've done.
So if we want to,
well.
if at least from what I can understand, because when I voted, see, the thing is that the reason that why we don't get affected, that most of the politics that happens is that we live in a particular city. If within that we live in a particular area where, directly we never get affected by the politics that happen. Okay. But still, what we have seen so far, what I have seen from this government is that the single biggest achievement that, BJP single biggest achievement that has affected large number of people or most number of people is the implementation of UPI.
True.
Now the opposition, supporters of opposition will argue that it was proposed at that time. But my point is that you propose so many things. It's about when you implement it, right?
I'd like to weigh in here. It's not that they have proposed it. When have they proposed it? Because I'll ask you a very simple question. There was a clip of a senior minister who was a finance minister at some point.
Yeah, I'll name him.
There was his clip at that point of time who said that
he was mocking.
he was mocking the UPI. Openly he was mocking it, and they were able to roll it out.
But what I'm saying is that what he was saying in hindsight looks like mocking, but that was factual at that time. We didn't have the network. We had nothing at that time to implement the UPI, which is why the implementation becomes an even greater achievement, because you've actually gone across villages and, most places has internet. Because see, for UPI to work, the basic requirement, the main requirement is internet connection. Okay. Second requirement is an Android or a like smartphone. Okay. The third thing is that the people should be able to use the app. Here, the biggest challenge was that, a lot of apps, most apps up till now, till date, the preferred language or the main language used to be English. Government made sure that UPI implementation is done in such a way where language is not a barrier. I think so in local languages, you can change the languages within the UPI apps and, be comfortable in your own language. And now, of lately, there was a video on social media doing the rounds where, vegetable vendor, someone goes to buy a vegetable and, she doesn't even have any table or anything like that. She just has those vessels in which you weigh, and that guy wanted to pay by UPI, didn't have a cash, so she turns around the vessels and there is the QR code on that.
We all have seen this. We all have seen this reel.
So if this is not a revolution, then what would it be?
See, what is the most important revolution in this is that this revolution has happened in two stages. The first stage was making everybody open a bank account with zero balance, which was called the Jan Dhan Yojana.
Correct.
So first he made sure that everybody has a bank account.
Correct.
After that, he made sure that the penetration of your 3G, 4G networks
is there,
and the smartphone availability is also available for people of low income groups.
Yes, correct.
Which is the major population of India.
Correct.
So he has made sure that it is accessible to the middle and the lower classes, and this has made the ease of doing business also much more easily. See, there is a hidden benefit in this also, which is there for the tax purposes. Now you're buying and selling, the lesser amount of cash that is used, the more number of transactions are going to be recorded by the government. The larger number of transactions that are recorded is going to be more.
Come under the tax. They come under the tax.
Exactly.
Now all types of tax, whether it's income tax, indirect.
Yesterday only the government rolled out the thing that we have collected 2.1 lakh crores in the last month, in the month of March, I believe, in GST collection net all over the country, which I think is an achievement in its own. So all this is interlinked, if you ask me.
Correct.
And it's not only one thing. And the thing is that the country that was inherited by the BJP was in a big mess. So to roll out this, I think was a great mess, and the way it has been executed was good. What I don't like about the UPI scheme is that we are seeking foreign validation. We are not selling them a technology. We are still selling it. The narrative in India is, look, we sold, UPI is now going to be accepted here also, is going to be accepted.
They accepted in Paris.
Yeah, Paris or UAE or I don't know, wherever they are selling these technologies to. My thing is, why do we need validation from foreign countries? You have a fantastic technology, which is better than everybody else in the world.
Correct. But it's, I think, why I think people say this is because from where we were to where we've come, that has been a huge difference. Because, see, the thing is that 15-20 years back, you would never imagine India exporting a technology.
Exactly.
As far as technology is concerned, you will say that, see, US is doing this, we should do it. See, Europe is doing this, we should do it. Dubai is doing this, we should do it. But now they have been constantly looking at UPI. So, I'm saying that forget foreign validation. any kind of validation is good. If the people of India are saying that, if I'm saying as a user that it's great, then isn't that the biggest validation the government?
What I'm trying to say is that the Indian validation is good enough. We don't need more. And this has been fantastic. And including the government apps also that are there, Beam and all, I think it's very user-friendly and very great.
Correct.
Because they've linked IPO subscription also through there.
Correct.
You can pay your bills also through there. You don't miss a bill. Now you can use a credit card also.
Correct.
So, and the RuPay credit card. So we took out RuPay also, which if you ask me is a part of the UPI. I would consider it as the same chapter.
Yes, correct.
But I think that is also great.
Correct. So which brings me to the second point that, the schemes. You spoke about the Jan Dhan Yojana where they opened, few crore bank accounts, zero balance bank accounts. So those schemes are not limited to bank accounts. They had come up with the housing for poor, toilets, building toilets. I mean, just think about it. People argue, the critics would argue that, toilets is a basic necessity. What's the great thing? But boss, there were people lacking that basic necessity. Imagine, females in your house in the morning, people wake up and there is no toilet to go to. You have to travel a certain distance and, go find a lake or something like that in the outdoors where you would, go and, do your morning stuff, right? So this is what the government has changed, See, I will say that, the country wants to progress. But the thing is that as long as the people who are, not having the basic, requirements, basic necessities, you go to that village which, where people don't have houses and people don't have toilets, you tell him that India is going to become the third largest economy, first largest. How does he care?
True.
He cares about how am I going to get my next meal.
This is exactly what I was telling you. Okay, when you're voting for a leader, you need to vote about what is happening at your thing on a local level.
Correct.
So I feel that a party, whether it is a BJP or whether it is a Congress, they have to perform from the grassroots level right up to the national level.
Correct.
At every stage, there are different responsibilities that everyone is going to have.
Correct.
And the reason why the BJP has been so successful is because they have been able to roll out these programs in the third tier, fourth tier cities, even in remote villages.
Correct.
They have been able to do this. See, since we are talking about these two schemes, I would like to talk about the PM Jan Aushadhi Kendras, which he took out about generic medicines. What we were discussing about just before we started shooting, right? So I think this has been a great step. What the BJP government has done.
Affordable medicines.
The funny thing is that they have not ideated this. This idea has come from elsewhere, but they have been able to execute it.
Correct.
And after that, market it properly.
Correct.
That we did this.
Correct.
Now, another interesting scheme also was the Ujjwala Yojana.
Yeah.
Where people were didn't have cooking gas and stuff like that.
Correct.
So he was able to get that to the women, this, that, everything. See, one thing that the Congress, the one thing that the BJP has done way better than the Congress is they have been able to make sure that the policies that are made and the schemes that are there, it is trickled down to the right user correctly. Because they have eliminated middlemen. So their execution has been good.
Which is where again the first point of UPI comes in. When you have direct access to people's bank accounts,
Exactly.
there is no cash involved. So, before I think Rajiv Gandhi in one of his official interviews or press conferences said that देते तो हम 100 रुपए हैं लेकिन लोगों तक 20 पहुंचते.
Exactly.
So what he's trying to say is that 80 rupees is lost in between. So that has been eliminated, which is a big thing.
कांग्रेस के टाइम पे वही तो इशू था ना, pre 2014 वही तो प्रॉब्लम था. It's not like India has never had socialist schemes.
Yeah. In fact, India was always socialist.
It is a part of our preamble. It is written in our constitution. We are a socialist country, as in, so to say.
Correct. The other one, I would say is GST. Now, GST is, the moment you say put GST into the, achievements bracket, it's a controversial subject because a lot of businesses, some of them face challenges. Some of them feel that the tax, rate they are under is too high. What my point is that at least there is a starting point. See, there was initially the thought of GST was that a standard tax throughout the country, which is again not going to be possible because ultimately you tend to categorize products as per, whether they are luxury, basic or those things. But I'm saying at least there is a starting point. There was always GST implementation. Congress wanted to do it. Today they criticize it. They always wanted to implementation. So I would still, give it to the BJP as one of its achievements. The other thing, the most important point, I think, is the national security. This is a very sensitive subject. Now, you see, in 2019, before the general elections, there was an attack that happened, Pulwama, okay? Now, attacks have happened before as well, historically, okay? But what has been the response? Response has been, we'll have a dialogue. We'll have a dialogue.
I would play cricket with you.
Yeah, we play cricket, right?
No, I won't play with you.
Yeah. Correct.
That was
that was the thing. So the thing is that, see, if you are, the thing is that Gandhiji had shown us only one, he had shown us till stage one that if someone slaps you, you show him the other, cheek. But if someone slaps you on the other cheek and keeps slapping you for years and years and years, out of mere human response, you're supposed to give a response which is different than the previous one, right? So what this government has done is probably, you can, have a controversy over that they made it an election issue and this and that. But the fact is, even if you put Pulwama and Balakot strikes aside, in the last 10 years, if you take out Kashmir, then there have been probably very few, you can say negligible, incidents like terrorist incidents which have happened, which have directly, threatened our national security within the country. I'm saying we'll come to the policies with China and those things, but I'm saying within the country, today you don't go out and think about something might happen to you. 2008, there was a time, we've seen that time when the Mumbai blast had happened. Yeah. The next few days, we would fear that, if we go out to a restaurant or something like that, anything can happen. Those fear only people who've, gone through it would know. People traveling in trains, there were train blasts that have happened. Now, if your relative is traveling in a train, you're constantly worried about it. See, the fact is not whether you will die or not. The fear of death is worse than death itself. If you are fearing death every single day, that's worse than death.
See, if you ask me, that security that is given to a citizen is a very basic need. Like, I'll give you a very simple example today. I'd like to give you the example of Russia. Today, Russia is a communist country. And then on the other hand, there is the other part of the world, which is the NATO alliances, correct? Now, NATO started progressing eastwards towards Russia. The minute they came towards Ukraine, he automatically invaded Ukraine. He took Crimea. He went forward. And now it's at a stalemate, or I don't know, whatever is happening in Ukraine at the moment. Now, he's not compromising his national security. He's worried. He does not want any pressure to be put on the Kremlin in Moscow by having nuclear warheads that are put on his border.
Correct.
Because NATO is right at his border.
Correct.
So he's already taking those steps. So now with a Balakot airstrike, I think that a Balakot airstrike was received greatly in India, because till today, we have never taken such a decisive step. But I don't think that the government should have celebrated this the way they celebrated it. I think any government in power should have done this.
Correct. No, but then this government, you have to give it to them,
Yeah, they are able
to. You make a product, but how you market it. I mean, sorry to use this analogy here, it's politics, but I'm saying that, your achievements, the biggest problem with the opposition or Congress specifically has been that Congress had many schemes like Manrega, etc. It's not that these schemes have come out for the first time, but they didn't have a way to articulate them to people. If I'm giving you something and you don't know about it,
have you thought
you're never going to realize.
But have you thought about it? Why? Because they didn't want enough trickling down. The middleman needs to stop this.
Correct. But I'm saying
Congress has a very strong Babu culture.
Correct.
There's a very, very strong Babu culture that is there in the Congress.
Correct.
Which is missing in the BJP. They have made sure that this is not there. And in the BJP, all the leaders, all your member of parliaments, your MLAs, everybody are accessible.
Correct.
And that they have made sure, pan-India, that whoever is elected is available for you and all your problems are solvable. And one greatest thing that they have done is that they've digitized most of this process. So that has become great. The more you digitize all these things, the better it becomes for you. Because, like, for example, even if you want to put say the Mumbai Traffic Police app, I don't know whether it was a central government or state government thing, but it's become much better. Fines are collected. People have started driving better. So it is these kind of things. So what I felt with the Congress was they used to bring fantastic schemes, but those schemes were only to take photographs and to put on their election manifestos that we brought this. They were not interested in it, making sure that it is trickling down to the right person who needs it. One thing that I can say about Modi ji is that is what he is really worried about. That I will bring in the scheme, but is it getting into the right person's hand?
Correct.
That is one thing that
where it has to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Rushabh, what do you think about the abrogation of Article 370?
So I think it's, again, it can be called as like one of the biggest achievement of the government. The reason being is that, with Article 370, what happens is that, this is a really fascinating thing. In the history of any country, you tell me one policy that applies to a particular state or that is connected to a particular state, which is talked about in the entire country and, celebrated in the entire country as if it matters. I mean, how does it make a difference to you and me? To be honest, nothing. But why it actually makes a difference is, there are certain decisions you need to take to know the DNA of that government, what direction that government is going in. There has to be a clear-cut direction. Now, Kashmir, constitutionally, the olden people who are aware of the constitution, well-versed with it, they know that 370 was always going to be a temporary provision, okay? We probably didn't know it as growing up when we never, we just knew that Kashmir is like a region which is different. Let's say when we grew up, we knew that Kashmir has tensions, it's a region that is different. We never thought that we could buy a property in Kashmir. If you want to invest or start a business, we thought about other places. We never thought about Kashmir. We always knew at the very, like deep back of our mind that Kashmir is different. What was different about Kashmir? It was the Article 370 that was in force. And Article 370, prevented Kashmir from whatever policies you apply pan-India that cannot apply in Kashmir. People want to buy a property, start a business, you cannot do so. There are certain provisions which stopped you from doing so. So Kashmir was actually, geographically on the map might be a part of India, but actually it was cut out from India while the 370 was in force. Okay. What this government has done is, they've made sure like territorial integrity. Okay. This government might have failed on many things, but they made sure that when you take a stand on, Article 370 being abrogated, what happens is that it sends a message to potential infiltrators that this government is taking back what was theirs. Okay. So there is no way we are going to get something new out of them. So sometimes, to know the DNA of the government, this is very important. So 370 per se, it's too early, like 2019 and 2024. Now 5 years for such a thing, which has existed for years and years. It's too premature to say, what are the benefits or disadvantages that might come with it. Let the government be formed, let an election happen in Kashmir, let the government be formed. Let's see how much, progress Kashmir actually sees. Let's see how many industries are set up there. Let's see if there are, there is tourism, increases there. There are good properties, which come up there. That only time will tell. But I think why Kashmir, Article 370 was celebrated, even people who celebrate it might not realize this because it reflected the DNA of the government and they liked it. That's the reason.
True. The government had a spine.
Yeah. And they were clear which direction they wanted to go in, right? The next thing is that, as far as COVID-19 went, we'll come to the misses of the government later, but vaccination drive, why I've, I included as one of the achievements is because, see, India is a massive country. How much ever you do, there would have been, like holes to be filled. Okay. You can't do 100%. You can't make everyone happy. Okay. So vaccination drive was, implemented like on a large scale. And see, that was the need of the hour. When, there were some side effects which were reported, people said that, how did the government be so careless about it? If government waits, delays the vaccination process, then the people could criticize that, people are dying of COVID, why have you delayed the process? You just have to understand one thing. If you believe that the vaccination can save you from a potential, extreme COVID disease and save your life, and it might cause side effects to like say 1 in a lakh, then it's a smaller number because COVID-19 at that time had a death rate of 1 or 2 in 100, which is huge when you compare it 1 in a lakh. If you're going to get a brain clot, but if you are 1 in that lakh, if there are so many lives which are being saved for the vaccination, it's still an achievement. So they rolled out phase-wise, but it was fairly quick. I mean, the government tried. See, the thing is that agreeing and disagreeing on policies and the way it's implemented, that can happen. We can argue on that till the cows come home. But again, the intent to actually, go and do it was there. So I would, say vaccination was...
See, one thing that we need to give it to this government, what we don't realize is that India is a geographical nightmare to roll out something like this. It's a completely geographical, it's a complete geographical nightmare.
Yeah.
Totally.
Correct.
And to roll out the vaccination and right from different age groups, as in from 18 plus or whatever, however they had it, and they were giving it through private hospitals through public hospitals, and a lot of it was even complementary. So it has been even expensive in the government exchequer also. Along with this, we developed our own vaccine also, and we were able to export it to other lesser nations. As in economically lesser nations, we were able to help them out also. Plus, we were able, at the same time, we did not compromise our own population. So I think in general, maybe COVID could have been, there may have been...
I think the COVID management can be one of the misses of BJP, but the vaccination by itself...
Yeah, vaccination was an achievement, but the COVID management has been very difficult. But I think any government in this place would have faced this kind of a problem because basic infrastructure is lacking in our country.
But I would, if you say that an opposition government would have done the same thing or worse, I might agree with that. But any other government would have, I probably disagree because there were cases where, dead bodies were floating in the... So there has been it's not that, everything has been perfect. So but we'll get to that later. Yeah, we'll get to the misses. Yeah. The other thing is that, Ram Mandir, okay. Now, it has just happened before this election sometime in Jan, okay. So now, what should we make of a Mandir? That's my first question.
See, I'll tell you one thing, frankly. Here, the thing is, the fight is not, if you ask me, the fight is about an ideology. this is the ideology of the Lord Ram, and maybe it's about the thought process that comes with it, that comes along with it. Today, what you would call the thought process of the Sanatan or whatever, however people like to, whatever they want to brand it now. But this, what has been highlighted has been the thought process. Here, what they are changing the ideology of the people. Somehow, we are trying to move away from a little bit of Mughal influence that has been there.
Correct.
Throughout post-independence, there has been a lot of Mughal influence. So
the traces and the leftovers have been,
it has always
haunting
been
us all the
there.
time.
It has been always been there, and I think that certain issues should be solved and they should be junked forever. After that, and you should think about what is next there. Next, as in, I don't mean talk about another temple. You talk about something else, like you talk about a Chandrayaan, or you talk about a Mangalyaan, or something like that. I mean, this is done now. Think about what is moving forward. See, this was a problem that was there pre-independence that was going on in India. This this Hindu-Muslim thing.
But here it needs to be stated that, Ram Mandir went through a process where there was a case in court, okay? People would say that, the judges were influenced, this happened, that happened. But I'm saying that there was still a process that was followed, okay? And there is very good evidence that there was a Mandir there, which was broken down and built the masjid. So certain wrongs, according to the government and as per the people, are, being corrected.
I wouldn't put it as a wrong.
I would just say that a wrong is being, corrected.
See, I wouldn't put it as a wrong. Rushabh,
the wrong was, building a masjid was not wrong. Let me be very honest with you. Okay, breaking down a temple was wrong.
No, true. But the way I'd like to put it is, every time there is a dominant force, they are going to put a strong imprint on the culture. So how do you destroy a previous culture? You see, temples were not temples as we see it in today's day and age. Temples were a center of cultural activity back in the day.
Absolutely.
So this we are talking about medieval India pre-1500.
And there was a lot of force on spirituality in temples, which now is only about idol worship.
Not only spirituality, even education.
Yeah, correct.
There was a lot of education. There were gurukuls and all that were attached to this, and they had a lot of learning.
There was a whole way of life that was
exactly. So temples are cultural centers, so to put it. It was not only about idol worship, and it was not only about all those kind of things.
Correct.
So there was a lot of these things. Now, what happens? See, we have seen this happening everywhere. The same thing has happened in Jerusalem. There was a Jewish temple. They broke it. On top of it, they made a church. When the Romans became powerful, then they broke it, and today there stands a mosque out there.
Correct.
So this is going to continue everywhere. Today, when you talk about India as an ancient land, the deeper you dig, the older civilizations you're going to find. There's going to be an older civilization, there's going to be a civilization above that, there's going to be a civilization above that. See, demonizing a particular religion, whether it is demonizing Hindus or demonizing Muslims for their way of life, I think that is wrong. I think that should not happen.
See, but here, there is one important point here, Funny enough, Hindu as a religion is different from Hindu as a culture. But do you feel there is an argument or there is any disagreement, as far as India is concerned, that Bharat has, been a Hindu civilization? Is there any debate over that?
So, the way to look at it is that the way people describe it, as in few historians or whatever, few things that I may have seen here and there, or what I may have read here and there.
Yeah. What's the debate over it? I mean, Mughals came in and it changed then. So, is there debate over that India was originally a Hindu land? I mean, culturally
is what they are saying.
Yeah.
But then there are a lot of ancient civilizations that have
that it doesn't mean that Muslims cannot exist, Christians cannot exist. In fact, if you go to see, this has got nothing to do with the current, establishment or government. They might take credit or, they might say that, we are the ones who, brought Hinduism back, which to an extent may be true, untrue. I'm not getting into that. I'm saying that India has, if you go down, absolute roots, Hinduism or, the Hindu culture, it never talks about, opposing another religion or,
exactly.
The Hindu culture talks about, having
coexisting.
Yeah, it talks about coexistence. Whereas you see some of the other cultures in the world, they don't talk about it.
So just because you have that particular thought doesn't mean the other person is also going to have the same thought, right? Yeah. That is one thing. Now, second thing, since you were saying that how do you think that India has been a Hindu civilization?
Yeah.
Now, the poster boy of Muslim politics is Asaduddin Owaisi. He himself on record has said that my ancestors were Hindu.
Yeah, correct.
No,
yeah.
There are a few reels that go on about all these things.
Which also, a lot of these left-wing guys, talk about secularism, okay? That, secularism, India is a secular country. You know what secularism means? Secularism, if you find out where the word has originated from, it means exactly the opposite of what you think secularism is.
I'm sure.
You know what secularism was? I think from what I vaguely remember, I read it, it's a Christian terminology. Places where, there was non-Christian population in the West and all that, they tried to convert it, those places into, Christians. Okay. So that is what they call it as secularism. India, in the term secularism has never existed in India. If you are being a particular culture, by the definition of it, you don't mean that other religions can't exist. But the moment you talk about India's civilization being Hindu, there is a secularism jibe thrown at it. So I think the word secularism needs to be revisited.
So the thing is that these people...
I would say India should be a place where everyone and of all religions, all beliefs can, exist, together. I wouldn't want to call India a secular country because you need to understand what the meaning of secularism and where the term has originated from.
Basically, the thing is very simple. Today, your faith remains in your house. Once you get out of the house, once you're on the road, you're an average citizen who is an Indian first. Correct? Now, when you're talking about...
You're a human first, let's put it this way.
Okay, in the greater...
Because a lot of people have forgotten that.
Yeah, right. True. Right now, we're talking about India in general. So now, first we are talking about India. So here the discussion is that first you're an Indian. Correct? Now, the government policy should be in such a way, since we are talking about elections, the government policy should be in such a way that it should be inclusive for every Indian. Every Indian here, no matter of what their gender, faith, political thought process is, everybody should feel safe in the country and should be allowed to voice their own opinion.
Do you think that's happening?
No, it's not.
Who's feeling unsafe?
A lot of people are feeling unsafe. I don't know whether they're feeling unsafe because...
Which group of people are feeling unsafe?
A lot of people are feeling unsafe. I'll tell you.
Which group, community, religion, what? Who's feeling?
See, the leftists are feeling very insecure at the moment.
Define leftists.
All the JNU activists, they are feeling uncomfortable. Completely they're feeling uncomfortable. Then there is a jive with the BJP that this is a forward caste party. The backward castes are also feeling a little uncomfortable is what I believe and what I hear.
Muslims are feeling uncomfortable.
They are permanently uncomfortable. Even if there is Congress, they're permanently uncomfortable because there's always something...
No, I mean, see, there are a lot of, people who I know who are, Muslims or who are Muslims. On a serious note, I am saying that are Muslims feeling unsafe because of the establishment?
See, they are feeling unsafe because they somehow still feel that we don't belong to this land. Like how we feel that India is my country, this is my country.
So does that happen when you say Hindu Rashtra? Does that happen to them?
Yes, that does happen.
Okay.
That does happen.
Okay. Does that happen to them when you say Jai Shri Ram?
I'm sure it does. Because what would happen to you if he tells you something of his? I mean, I'm not too conversant with their equivalent of Jai Shri Ram, but if they would tell you that
Allahu Akbar. I think Allahu Akbar is similar to Jai Shri Ram.
It could make you also uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
So, see, they are uncomfortable because our atmosphere has not been inclusive from the first.
So, which is what brings me to the next point, that uniform civil code. Why would you be allowed in public, go out in public and say Allahu Akbar, or for that matter, Jai Shri Ram as well? I mean, then if uniform civil code comes, then both won't be allowed to say anything.
But why should there not be uniform civil code? Why should different citizens be treated differently in the country?
No, but Hindus would say we want to say Jai Shri Ram.
No. So, if you want to say Jai Shri Ram, then you should be okay with it if he's saying what he wants to say. You're the problem.
So there has to be a mechanism to not feel unsafe.
Exactly, that is what.
And also the role that government plays.
1 minute. I want something to say in this, that for years, the Congress has always used the Muslims and used their insecurity.
Yeah. This is what I was going to come to.
And use their insecurity in weaponizing them and demonizing them.
Correct.
They are not.
Correct.
If you talk to an average Muslim, they are not like that. If you talk to a normal business, they are not hardliners. They don't talk about Islamization of everything. They don't talk about such things. It is only these people who are using them for their political benefit.
Correct.
So it is not, the common man doesn't think so. Was a common man who is struggling, earning for his family and letting his kids go to school and stuff like that. You think he's concerned with, you think he wants to get hardlined? I don't think so. Who's going to look after his family? And today, India, it's quite expensive affair living in the country. It's not that cheap. So
we'll come to this in detail at a later stage. First, we've talked about the achievements.
1 minute. No, are we talking about the UCC right now?
No, we'll come to that later is what I'm saying. First, let's talk about the 10 years. What are the misses of the BJP or where they've gone wrong? The biggest I can think of, from what I remember, is demonetization.
But see, there should be two parts to this question, I feel, honestly. Thing is that what policy has failed and what policy was good, but implementation has failed.
I think the intent was right. Policy and implementation both were wrong.
Both
I can say both were wrong.
Both failed.
Okay. You see, the intent that I want to stop black money can never be wrong. But for that, I will, make sure that all the notes, don't exist from tomorrow. That is stupid. Because see,
Should have thought of it.
and the people who were most affected by it were obviously the people whom you are rolling out these schemes for. And the reason is that people who had, lakhs and crores of rupees. Boss, if you have, say, 10 crores in cash, 5 crores in cash, at the max what? 20%, 30% rate chal raha hoega. 1.5 crore ka loss hoega na, 3.5 crores so you will get back if you are going to convert it, switch to new notes. This is what has happened at that time. But a poor person, if he has 10,000, 15,000 rupees, he can't afford to lose 15%, 20%, so he stands in the queue. And one of the things that the Prime Minister said at that time, which really, hit me, badly was that he said that in Hindi, one of the speeches said that आप लोग पिक्चर देखने जाते हैं तो लाइन में खड़े रहते हैं तो नोट बदलने के लिए देश के अच्छा हो रहा है तो उसमें नोट बदलने के लिए लाइन में खड़ा रहना पड़ता है तो इसमें क्या प्रॉब्लम है. See, this is like, really a slight arrogance was reflecting there. How can you compare the two situations? You are going out for entertainment. You are going for a movie which you like. You choose to watch that movie. If you don't wish to watch that movie, you don't stand in the queue to buy a ticket, right?
You're talking
Here you don't have a choice. You're made to stand in a line missing your work. You don't go for a movie missing your work, right?
But when you're talking about arrogance, I'll tell you, it's not about the arrogance. This is what the BJP has. So what they keep saying is, this is what we have, take it or leave it. You don't like us, don't vote for us. Because what he went on to say after that was, after the demonetization was, हम तो फकीर है भाई, झोला उठाते चल पड़ेंगे. This is what it is.
लेकिन सब तो फकीर नहीं है ना.
Yeah, but take it or leave it. He was very clear about it.
Correct.
I am like this. Don't like me, don't vote for me.
Correct.
I will leave. And that was the time when he used to talk even openly that if I have a clear majority, I want to be Prime Minister. If not, I don't want to take this forward.
Correct. So the second, I think demonetization, whether people will say it or not, everyone agrees it has affected them negatively. No one would say that it was great for me or my business, No one would say that demonetization. Because the reason being that even if it was about the 3, 4, 5, 6 months of inconvenience, and post that you never saw, cash, being used. Because cash is maximum used by politicians during elections. So demonetization has done nothing. It probably has transferred the cash from those people to the people who...
Now they don't even need to use that. There's UPI to transfer it to the bank account.
50 lakhs to 50 crores to buy an MLA and all that cannot be done through UPI. उधर तो cash ही चाहिए होगा.
I'm sure.
So demonetization, whichever way you'll argue, I don't think it has stopped black money. The first and foremost, there was more money that had come back to the banks than the money that was actually in circulation, black money. So that the data itself tells you.
So that is, I think, more about fake notes and all. I think that's the spin that BJP gave it.
See, the thing is that now when you make a mistake, in politics, politics, why it's such a dirty game? Because you are never allowed to admit your mistake. You make a mistake, then you have to make 2, 3 bigger mistakes trying to justify that mistake. And when you try to, whoever tries to justify demonetization will be making bigger mistakes. So, let's, in our opinion, demonetization, at least in my opinion.
If you look at it this way, the opposition also failed to capitalize on this.
Opposition has failed to, I think, capitalize on anything that has, they've been bowled full tosses. They've been bowled, no balls and full tosses. They've not been able to score off that. So, opposition, though, we are going to come to later, talking about the misses, I think the other big miss in 2019, 2020 was the COVID management. We spoke about that briefly earlier, but we just touch upon that. The dead bodies floating in Ganges, and the overall situation, there was shortage of beds, when people wanted to get hospitalized. Utter chaos, people roaming around without masks in public places. You blame the public as well to an extent for that. You don't blame them because of the population and, the size of our land, So, overall, the government could have done better. Opposition would have done better or not, I don't know. Probably they wouldn't have done. Probably they would have done. But definitely a more responsible government would have been a little more proactive as far as the COVID management was concerned. By the time the vaccinations were rolled out, I think they'd woken up. But it was a little too late and fair enough, a fair bit of damage.
I would not really want to demonize them for this, or I wouldn't want to crucify the government for the COVID management thing, because the number of population, we are 130, 140 crores. To manage so many people overnight, to have so much of oxygen available, to have so many beds available, to have so much of trained medical staff.
Correct.
You were caught off guard. This was completely a situation where you were totally caught off guard. And in that...
But then in rallies, if you are saying that 140 crore people love you and praise you, then you are responsible toward 140 crore.
Definitely. 110%. You should be. And you should be sensitive to every diverse part of population that exists in the great country.
Correct. What do you think about employment? Is there enough employment?
No, there is not, and there's never going to be enough of employment. So this is a bit of a long answer.
No, but they had promised jobs.
No, 1 minute. So what I mean to say, see, I'm gonna move on to one more thing in this to get to this. What do you think? India is a capitalist country or a socialist country? What do you think? No, I'll tell you. No, so I'll tell you. So the government wants to be capitalist when they want to bring in FDI. When they want to bring in a Tesla, you show your capital face. Now, when your laborers come in, that's when you show your socialist face. So we are a confused country. So in this case, what happens is, see, today there are a lot of foreign companies who want to invest in India, but they are uncomfortable with the social fabric that is going on here, and the labor laws are old. They have to be junked. New stuff needs to come in. Again, we want to become a China. Do you have the policies like China? Like China has a 12-hour workday. India does not.
So we are not, I think everyone knows, policymakers know what needs to be done. Their hands are tied.
So
why they can't do it? Because India still has a democratic election every 5 years at the center.
Exactly.
And every year there is a state-led election. So the moment you touch those labor policies or policies that affect a huge number of people, if anything goes against them, they will straight away, show you.
So after getting voted, we become capitalist, and while the voting process,
There are so many elections in between, in India.
No, but see, at the end of the day, why is there no change there happening? Because the number of people...
The change is slow, and the change has to be, balanced and navigated. There can't be a straight road for India.
That's not the case. Why is the change not happening? Because the number of people that are affected by the change of it from it becoming a socialist into a capitalist state completely, you're going to lose most of your voter bank.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
They are not actively, they're not doing it at all.
Yeah, that's why they want that one nation, one election kind of a thing, where the number of elections reduce, that there is just once in 5 years, or at least 5 years is a clear span that they get, that they can do what they want to do.
Exactly.
This is one. So here, this reminds me of one of the biggest misses of handling of the farm laws and rolling them back both. Here we are not debating whether farm laws were good or not, okay? Because they never got implemented, so we'll never know the effect of them. So we'll not debate that, okay? But the way they were implemented, and then there was a backlash, there was a protest, and the amount of time government took to roll it back. I think the rolling back of farm laws was the first instance in the 10 years where, Modi has shown glimpses that he can be bogged down. He can be defeated is not the right word, but he can be, probably caught off guard. And he can be, beaten as well probably in the future. Why I would say that is, you tell me a single pan-India or, big government policy that was rolled out affecting so many people, which was rolled back, other than the farm laws. I don't know of a policy which was, whatever the policies they came out with, there was backlash, even during CAA, there was, backlash, protests and all in certain parts, Shine Bagh and all that. But they never rolled it back. With farm laws, they realized that these guys, now the guys who are protesting, or, some chunk of it, some people could be, like probably ones with the agenda or, vested interest, but a large part of it was actually the farmer community. And the moment they realized that, they took a long time. They still tried that, it'll die down. But then they reached international media. And believe it or not, it did, put pressure on the government, and then they rolled it back. So it goes as one of the biggest misses of the BJP government, the handling of the farm laws.
Well, I feel that before that thing was drafted and before it was tabled in the parliament, I think they should have consulted farmers.
They never do that. That's what I was coming to. Why do they never consult people? When they were going, what demonetization was done secretly.
This is what I told you now. Why are feeling insecure? Because they're not included.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent.
So why do you think that happens? Why do they not include it?
This is something that the core team should be able to reply to.
So as of now,
this is their style of working.
Correct. So farm laws, and then unemployment, we forgot. Price rise. No, see, price rise is a slightly challenging thing to gauge, because there is inflation that is there everywhere, okay? Everything has become expensive. So is price rise out of control to an extent where the lower class or the lower middle class just can't make ends meet? Because mind you, there are 80 crore people who are being given free ration even today. Two ways to look at it. 80 crore people can't still afford ration. Another way to look at it, at least they can now eat food so they can think of other things. Which way should we look at it?
Look at it this way, that the government is not able to tap into these 80 crore people and get them jobs. This is a problem.
But they are able to tap into them for votes, na?
That's the thing. They are not able to tap into them they are not skilled. Why are they not being skilled? Why are they not being taught new skills? Why is this happening? And all these people, you're giving them free food, great. He can't afford it, whatever, you're taking care of a population which is necessary. The ones who are I would say the ones who are endangered in any kind of way, they should be taken care of. But I feel that taking care of them is a temporary state. You do it for 5 years, you do it for 10 years. At the end of the day, you should empower them in such a way that you don't have to take care of them. They take care of you as a nation. This is where I think the BJP is continuing on Congress legacy. You need to empower people and you need to run major programs where people are skilled. What they have done in Gujarat. See, he's done a great job in Gujarat and now he's replicating that same thing in UP. So he knows one thing for sure, that no matter what happens, 65 seats from there and 25 seats from here, he knows that whatever happens, my tally is not going below 90 for sure. So this is the thing. See, I'll tell you one thing in Gujarat. I've seen the way they are working there. The culture that is working there and the culture that is there in Maharashtra, there's a big difference in the government culture. Forget the people. The government is functioning as if you're working in two different countries.
So there has to be uniformity and policy should be,
Exactly, very similar. Certain things should be very similar. The ease of doing business in Gujarat is more than it is in Maharashtra.
Yeah, correct.
And I think the central government is not doing enough to make sure that all states are comfortable. And you can lift all the people out of poverty because there are so many industries that want to come in. See, today in industry, what is your greatest resource that we have today? Human resource. And we are not looking after your greatest asset. Human resource, that is what we are not looking after. Like today in a factory, you need a machinery, you need land, you need probably water, you need air, XYZ, and you need humans. So what we can supply to the world is humans, but we are not taking care of our own humans.
On top of that, we are going to get AI.
Yeah, it's going to get worse unless we learn to skill our people.
Correct.
And there is enough business that is there within the country. So what Modi ji is saying, Atmanirbhar Bharat, is very good. It's great, but I want to see how this policy is implemented. And I want to see how it tackles.
Atmanirbhar means that don't ask government for jobs. Create job on your own.
Exactly.
It can mean anything.
Can mean anything. What he's trying to tell you is to become self-reliant in everything. So basically, if you have your own businesses and your own exports and stuff like that, you're going to employ the people. So basically, what I meant to tell you is that there is unemployment in larger pockets, but the government needs to build a bridge between industries that need employment and the people who are unemployed. And that bridge could be mass skilling of a lot of workers. So you need to develop their skills. You need to teach them basic stuff, whatever is required for every industry. Now, Modi ji has tried to do something like that, where he is trying to roll out a scheme that is called One District, One Product. So he is trying to do things like this. But like I told you, time will tell whether it's trickling down into the people or not. But it is a long shot. This is not something that is going to be that we can even see at the end of 5 years. Probably you may not see the difference. You will need a good 10 to 15 years to see the difference in these things. Basically, employment. And what happens in this is that along with the employment, a lot of mindset will also change of the people of the country. Because today, when you are unemployed or when you are not earning anything, the kind of thought process that you have and the kind of thought process that you have once you start earning is greatly different. So we are looking at a lot of changes that will be there even in the social fabric of the country. But that can be achieved only when there is a proper employment. Nothing can go forward now unless there is proper employment that is happening in the country. So, do you think that Modi ji is invincible?
The straight answer to this is no. But I think a follow-up question should be that can the current opposition defeat Modi ji? The answer to that is no as well. To elaborate on that, just look at the data of the last elections, 2019 central election. BJP's vote share, was 37% or something like that. 37%.
37.
Okay. Now in 2019, you had the, Balakot strikes after the Pulwama had happened. Then you had the demonetization, which was till then looked at as a great, move because it's for the betterment of the country. Intent is good of the government. You had all the things in favor of the BJP, and after that, out of 100 people that were going out to vote, 35 were voting for BJP. Okay. What that tells you is that 65 people are still unhappy, or let's say not in favor of Modi. Okay. They are voting for someone else. Obviously, that's not happening. 65% are going to vote, but they are voting for different people. So that's why the collective vote share of anyone other than Modi is not even close to 35%. Forget being 30%, 25%. It's nothing close to it. Okay. The day you can have a narrative which can galvanize the rest of the 65% in voting for one cause, that day Modi can be beaten. So, I think Prashant Kishore keeps mentioning in one of the speeches, I, rate him very highly as a political analyst. He keeps saying that there was a time when Rajiv Gandhi's, government had once got 400 seats and they used to think that they're invincible. So Indira Gandhi, she's invincible and no one can beat her. And there was some unknown person, like no one had heard the name VP Singh, he would come and challenge her and form a government going against all odds. Who had thought that? Again, in 2004 it happened, although the Vajpayee wave was never as big as the Modi wave. But the Congress, the biggest achievement of, we should also talk about, the brain of Sonia Gandhi or the Congress leadership at that time. Congress, when the past two governments of Congress have existed, they've never got a majority. Okay?
No.
They've been short of majority by almost 50%. Okay. 272 is the majority. They've got 140, 150 seats.
Exactly.
And they've formed a government.
So, you know what, in 2004 elections, the difference between the Congress and the BJP, as in not as a UPI and an NDA, just the parties, was 7 or 8 seats.
Correct.
That's it.
Yes.
And the funny thing was that Vajpayee was coming out of a Kargil victory.
Yes.
Still, he did not win the elections.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
Now, the interesting thing with this is that Congress, even with winning half the seats, is still able to continue. Congress has not formed a majority government since 1991, since Rajiv Gandhi passed away. They have always played the politics of getting together, getting few parties together, forming a coalition government, making different prime ministers. Like in between, we had that I.K. Gujral, and then after that, we had H.D. Deve Gowda, and somebody came and somebody went, and there was a major nightmare. This was a whole PR nightmare also for the country, if you look at it that way, because today, let's say a US president is there for 5 years. Like when he starts his term, he's dealing with a different prime minister. When in between of the term, he's dealing with a different prime minister. If you want a basic policy like a defense pact, see, these are not pacts that are formed over one meeting. This may take 3, 4, 5, 6 meetings, which could go on over years. It could take 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. So there was a great problem. So there was a major policy paralysis, if you ask me, that was happening in these coalition governments. That was the same problem that Vajpayee was also facing. To be honest, that's why he was not able to complete his tenure.
Correct.
See, in 99 also, in 98, he had lost the trust vote, but he had to continue because Pakistan had infiltrated. So at that point of time, he was actually an interim chief. He was an interim
Prime Minister.
prime minister who was just taking care of the country. But actually, he had lost his majority in the house.
Correct. So then, this is a slightly off-track question. You run a business, so have you received any notice?
Regarding?
ED, CBI, and...
No, I've not.
No, because the opposition is trying to make this a national issue that, this government is misusing agency. How much does the common man...
I'll tell you something. It's not misusing of agencies. It's just that a lot of more data is available today than it was available before. And there are algorithms and there are softwares that can sort the data. And these data are from the income tax and the GST has been given to third party like TCS and Infosys and Wipro for the government to organize it and to place it to them on a platter. After that, it is used against you when and if they need to.
So it must be having a filter of party, no? BJP is filtered out of that data.
No, it's not filtered out. No, I mean, I'm sure they have their own data of their own leaders because I'm sure they need that also, right?
Correct.
Moving forward. So I'm sure they need that data also. Correct. So they have all the data.
No, so see, the right or wrong, obviously the government, as the data says is that most opposition leaders have been receiving notices, arrested, or there have been cases filed against them. But no BJP leader faces that. In fact, go to the extent of saying if the opposition leader joins BJP, the cases are closed or they are not pursued. Now, this obviously gives an impression to the common person. I mean, any common informed citizens knows that there is some misuse of central agencies happening. But my point is that you try to make this a national issue. The common man knows that, ED is going to probably spend more money trying to come to me. So the common person is not concerned with the ED, CBI, income tax.
I'll tell you something. The common person is very happy that the ED and the CBI are killing the rich people. They are very happy about it, to be honest. Because see, I'll tell you a very simple thing today. A person who is a laborer, when he reads it in the morning in the newspaper that so-and-so politician was caught with 50,000 crores. See, there is an anger inside him already.
Correct.
That a politician is stealing money from me, whatever XYZ
Correct.
issues, whatever are coming up. And so he is more than happy. So again, this is in fact working more in BJP's favor than against them. And the Congress is also, I'll tell you where the Congress is failing, which I wanted to tell sometime before, previous to this also. Problem is they are replied to BJP's narrative. They don't have their own independent narrative.
So can Congress revive then?
They can, but then this is like an old multinational company. When you don't have ingrown talent, you need to outsource the talent.
Correct.
So you need to bring smarter people from outside who can help you run the party. Probably use your own leaders or whatever. You use your leaders in whatever. Probably you want to put them in a post or you may not want to put them in a post, but you need to bring in at least some kind of better management that is there, what I feel. And they need to lend themselves to a cause that is more to common people. See, they are not lending themselves to a cause. See, when the BJP came in 2014, they talked about good governance, they talked about abrogation of Article 370, they talked about internal security, they talk about things like this. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, of course, the whole.
Yeah.
But I would leave anti-corruption more than BJP. I would keep that for a Arvind Kejriwal podcast because that's a whole different ball game altogether. So,
But I'm saying why the revival of Congress is so important in Indian politics is
it is
because
necessary.
we need to first of all stop thinking Congress as a family party. Okay. Now Rahul Gandhi is everywhere on the manifesto or matlab, everywhere with the marketing, the campaigns that Congress runs. Rahul Gandhi is at the forefront. Now he has not been a cabinet minister. He's not served anywhere. He's not been a chief minister. What on earth makes him think that he's capable of becoming? Forget a prime minister, even anything other than that. There is no experience. The entitlement of being from a family who's had, run governments before doesn't make him an automatic choice. And why I'm saying this is that, Rahul Gandhi could be, unfortunately for Congress, one single biggest factor, coming in the way of Congress's revival. Because see, in India still, as we discussed earlier, there is just 35% people who are agreeing with the, right of center thought process. There is still a big chunk of people, big space for the left of center people. The Congress is not able to capture that because, people are not able to find that connect with them. Even hardcore Congress supporters, whether they are few or, many, we don't know that. But they don't have much, good to say about Rahul Gandhi. So and India unfortunately has become a leader-centric country, an idol-worshipping country, where, you need a leader to follow.
It has always been an idol-worshipping country.
Yeah.
So, and they always look for heroes.
And nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, it's good. So it's fine. I mean,
As long as it's sensi, because in such a huge country where there are, so many diverse cultures, religions and communities, I think it's even more important for, some force, not only a person. In this case, in BJP's case, it might be Modi. Okay. Some force, some narrative, something to, galvanize them towards, probably a destination or, a final goal.
that is why I said now that they are only replying to BJP's questions. They are not asking their own questions. They don't have, what are they putting on the table? Where is the alternative? Like today, Rahul Gandhi, he said that I'll do wealth distribution. Suddenly one Sam Pitroda came out from somewhere and said, inheritance tax. I mean, seriously. See, he thought again that if I say this, the poor people will become happy and they'll vote for me because it is considered that the poor people think that the rich people are entitled and whatever they think. So they think that, they are entitled and probably they are taking advantage of us and they are getting it easy and it's good that there should be an inheritance tax and this, that.
But the poor people in India, we tend to underestimate them. The reason there was a big backlash on inheritance tax is, a lot of poor people realize that, what do poor people do? They are mostly into some kind of a job. They are working somewhere, right? They understand very well that my owner, if he is paying 50%, 55% inheritance tax, if he is stripped off of, a lot of his wealth, the first thing he does that, he makes his business smaller. He probably fires employees to, cut down on costs and all these things. So you think if the rich are stripped out of their wealth, it's ultimately going to reflect on where they spend and, what they do. So how is inheritance tax going to also help the poor? You give that to the government to, at least let's look at it this way. If I'm working under you, okay, today I know, if I have a problem, I come to you, I ask you for money, you give me some help and I go away, okay. Now there is inheritance tax coming in, okay. So obviously you as an individual small business owner are affected. You are paying a huge chunk to the government. You might tell me that, Rushabh, there are 50 people working now. I need to reduce like 10 people. You are gone, okay. So the thing is, I lose my job. Even if I don't lose my job, the thing is that the government says that I'll be helping, we'll be collecting the rent as a tax and, helping, for the policies and, rolling out schemes for the poor. Now, who would I trust as a, person who works every day for you? I would come to you and ask you for money. I'm most likely to trust you to, but me help than the government.
I'll tell you something in this. What you're saying, all of it is correct. But look at it from a Congress standpoint of view. How bad it comes off of them when they're talking about inheritance tax. One side, they're saying they're talking about inheritance tax because they don't want the concentration of wealth in a few people's hands. And they're saying that if your father has earned that money, you should not be entitled to it. The state should be entitled to half of it. Agree. Now, what happens with that where Rahul Gandhi is still the...
So
what
I can
happens
probably
there?
say all the jokes and the trolling that Rahul Gandhi is facing is probably the inheritance tax he's paying for
True.
her party from
So
Rajiv.
when you talk about your party, that time you want family lineage.
Yeah.
And then when you talk about wealth distribution, that time you say, "Okay, your father's wealth should not be yours."
Exactly.
So
That's why.
why should your father's post be yours?
Exactly. So and that's why people are not voting.
That is why I'm saying this is where they are failing, because their narrative is not clear.
Correct. They don't have a narrative that can drive people.
Exactly. They are not lending someone. See, what they are still doing is dividing the Hindus, dividing the Hindu vote bank, polarizing the Muslims,
Correct.
and then they are appeasing them to vote for them. And now the Muslims have also become so smart. They also know what game these people are playing. I don't even see the Muslims voting for the Congress, to be honest.
Correct.
I don't see it, because they can also look through them. Today, even the Muslims are well educated. They are running fantastic businesses in India. They are well traveled, very well educated, very well spoken.
But that's a chunk of them. No, there are big population of India, whether Hindu.
So that is the same for the Hindus also.
Agree, that's what
No, but today with the penetration of social media, Rushabh, a lot of people are.
they are more aware.
Exactly, they are much more aware, because today with your smartphone in your hand, you can travel to any country you want. You can see whatever reels you want. You can understand what is happening there. Today, a lot of people are able to even understand the politics of what's going on all around the world, geopolitics. So, and the Indian voter, believe it or not, an average Indian is a person of a high IQ level, if you ask me. And every person is very well aware of the politics, and they are very attached to their ground. When you talk about people that are coming from a village, see, we are people who are urban, so we don't really realize this. But now when you talk about people who are coming from the villages and a certain district or something, they have a very strong sense of brotherhood also. And they lend themselves to one cause.
Correct. Which is what makes me come to, the BJP's, Vikasit Bharat 2047. We are 23 years away from that. Most of the politicians, forget being in politics, may not be alive. A lot of them are talking about it. Us, 23 years later, how old we are going to be. Who does this connect to? Still, people tend to believe that in 2047, we are going to be the biggest economy. So again, this is the thing that, if you sell a dream and if people can, come with it, galvanize with it, then people do, connect to it. And people vote for him. So Congress is not able to get anything like that.
They're not trying hard enough. They're not turning enough of leaves.
I think they want Vikasit Congress. They want their party to, do well rather than...
So what are they doing for that also? How are they strengthening their party there also? They're not doing that also. Why are they losing MLAs? Why are they losing MPs? Why are people walking out of the Congress left, right and centre?
That's also because of the agency's pressure.
Himanta Biswa Sarma went on record to say...
Congress to BJP.
Yeah, and he said that I was insulted in the Congress.
Yeah, he went to meet Rahul Gandhi and his dog was there and something like that. He was fed on the same biscuits that the dog was eating, if you know.
Yeah. I didn't
He went to his house to meet Rahul Gandhi, and Rahul Gandhi was playing with his dog, and the dog was being fed, biscuits from a plate. And Rahul Gandhi or his staff offers, him from the same plate.
Was it?
And he said that time I realized that there is not much of a difference between me and him from their eyes.
Was it a dog or was it?
No, it was a dog. That's what he said. So Rahul Gandhi himself was not you. The dog was different.
No. I know. That's not what I'm trying to say. That I'm saying, was it really a dog or was it someone else?
No, I'm saying that. They were two distinct human, two distinct living things. Rahul Gandhi, the dog, and Hemanta Biswa Sarma.
Rahul Gandhi was there for sure. But what I'm trying to say, was it actually a dog or was it actually a human that he was playing with, like considering him to be a dog? That was the question.
That now if he become big enough to invite Hemanta Biswa Sarma to our podcast, we'll ask him.
Because even a Congress leader who quit the Congress from Bombay, sometime back said the same thing. When I wanted to meet Rahul Gandhi, I was asked to lose 20 kilos.
Yeah. Who was this guy? Zishan Siddiqui.
He's an MLA. He's an elected representative of the people.
Correct.
You cannot treat him like that. The people have...
But what's the logic behind it?
I don't know.
When you meet me, what's it got to do with politics?
This is something I read. I don't know whether it was just something said for the media or whether it actually made any sense. But what I'm trying to say is that Congress, they need to start with reviving their party. And that's why I said you need to look for talent outside if you don't have it inside. See, today's a very simple thing. You're running a successful company. Everything you don't do, you employ someone to do it, right? You have a chartered accountant, you have a lawyer, you have whatever expertise is needed. So you bring in expertise from outside, right? You don't sit to do everything. And there are things in which you may be weak, in which you may need to employ more than one person.
No, but in his case, in Congress's case, there is short, like a layman can tell, there are some holes to be filled and this guy is probably not good at everything. He still wants to do it. I can still understand someone who's very good at different things and he wants to do it. He wants to be, take the center stage. But someone who's not good at it still wants to do it.
Problem is he's not learning. See, we need him to revive
But Prashant Kishore, said that I really admire Rahul Gandhi's, mental strength. He's got a metal of steel, a spine of stainless steel or something like that.
That's true.
He said that if Modi would have lost so many elections back to back, he would have vanished. But this guy is still at it. So he's appreciating. So this is a appreciation or it's a criticism? What is this?
It's sarcastic. You can take it whatever way you want to.
So, after he made this statement, what did he say? That this is one of those things which I have said when Congress and BJP both are happy.
That's it.
Congress is happy that you're praising Rahul Gandhi's mental strength. BJP is happy that you are criticizing that he's lost elections, still he's there.
It's just sarcastic. This is just commentary.
A lot to learn from him, like he can say one line and make two opposite parties happy. So
now we're talking about Congress, so I'll tell you one more point in this. Why is Priyanka sidelined so badly?
I think she herself doesn't wish to fight elections. She was offered to fight Rai Bareli or this Amethi.
Not true.
Yeah. What's the reason?
The High Command should be able to reply to this question. And if one formula is not working for you, you need to change the formula. Like today, for example.
But the person who's in charge of changing the formula is the formula itself. So who's going to change it?
Somebody needs to, right?
If you are the High Command and you are not working, how can you change yourself?
Congress has always worked like this. Why are we blaming Rahul Gandhi? Today, when they were, they say that when they had to decide who's going to be the Prime Minister of India, there were 14 votes for Jawaharlal, there were 14 votes for Sardar Patel and 1 vote for Jawaharlal Nehru. I can understand who voted for him. But still, who became the Prime Minister?
Jawaharlal.
So Congress has always worked like this.
Correct.
It's just that now it's become a little more evident because...
No, but Rahul Gandhi, the first and foremost thing is that when you are out there campaigning for a national election, possibly being the Prime Minister's face, not saying it openly, but trying to, be... What are your credentials is what people ask, and people don't see credentials in him. That's as simple as that. You haven't worked as a Chief Minister. You haven't served the cabinet. How do you expect, people to accept you? The party can very well accept your leaders. In your office, you can tell your employees, accept me as your leader, they will. Will your clients accept you? That's the thing. That's the real test. If the clients are buying your product, if they are buying what they are selling, that's actually when being absolute. Your employees, you pay them, so they are going to accept you as your boss anyway. How does that matter?
See, we desperately need an opposition, and it has to be Congress-centric, because and
it can only be Congress-centric.
Exactly.
Yeah. And by Congress, actually, we don't mean a political party per se here. Congress itself is a thought in India that has existed always, that has been left of center, socialist. And this thought has to coexist, because what happens is a lot of times, we have seen the problem with extreme, right-wing governments or right-wing thinking, that they can probably go to an area, where, they start probably, intruding, sort of in everyday people's lives and all those things. So you need to keep a check on them. I think all thought processes, when they reach their extreme, they need to be kept a check on. And to keep that check, you need a left of center opposition, which has to be Congress.
It's the only party that can hold the rest of the allies together.
You hope so, but then, let's see what happens in this election. We'll know.
But there is no one else, because everybody
There's no one else, but then there was in 5 years' time what happens.
But it's all at a regional level, and there was one party who is coming up, what is caught in corruption.
You never know if there's someone else coming up.
We'll see.
I would say watch out in Bihar.
Yeah.
If someone is coming up, it could be.
Yeah, it's
from here. Yeah.
A lot of politics starts from UP Bihar.
Yeah.
So
I'm being specific, Bihar.
Yeah.
Let's see. Someone from Bihar comes in the next 5 years, probably he's the face.
There's only Prashant.
Because see, right now when you talk about it, people say, "Hey, what has he done? Who is he?" and all that. But 5 years is a long time. 5 years is a long time. If you form a government in one state, establish yourself as a national leader, fight elections in another state, be the primary opposition. You have established yourself as a national party. You might not, win a majority in a general elections by doing that, but you can be the major challenger or a big challenger, let's say.
If you ask me, in this election, what is going to be very interesting more than even Bihar is going to be Maharashtra. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very interesting. It's going to be a.
There are two Shiv Senas, there are two NCPs, and there's one BJP and one Congress. So we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. This is going to be because the Marathi vote.
I think BJP has been dented big time by certain moves that, by taking Ajit Pawar in their party after criticizing him so much. ideologically completely different person, still, inducting him in the party, falling off the Maharashtra government. Whether we are in favor of the government or no, that's not the point here. The way BJP is looked at as, as a big bully who topples governments, and does anything for power. BJP had established a very good, development, image that it's a government that works for development. In the last 2-3 years, the last 2 years, the moves that they made have, created that dent where, they are seen as toppling government.
You do realize that unless you have a similar government at the state and the center, it was becoming increasingly difficult to pass anything.
Because there's politics, whether it's right or wrong, this government will not let that.
Exactly.
Simple as that.
And then
So I think people out of, what you say, out of helplessness would go and vote ke bhai, this party is required because this is the only party that can probably have a likely majority. So let's go and vote for that party. That's what happens. So I have these 3 different questions, but because of the shortage of time, I'm just trying to club the 3 because they're interrelated. One is that are Hindus under threat? Second is that are Muslims under threat? And third is that is democracy under threat?
see, Hindus and Muslims are under threat from what?
I'm asking.
Nothing. They are under threat from political parties are using them.
Yeah.
They're using them against each other for their own gain. Nothing coming into your pocket. Think about India as a country as a whole. Think about your economy, because in the long run, that's the only thing that's going to help you. Look at China, not as an enemy. Look at it as an inspiration. It is great the way they have grown their economy and the way they have done things. The way today it has become the factory of the world. See how they have managed. Look up to them. Understand what they're doing. I'm not saying emulate them, but understand what they're doing and understand in our social and cultural fabric how we could use that and make it taking it forward. But the truth of the matter is only one thing. You need to take India as an economy forward. Larger the economy, the larger the defense spend. Larger the defense spend, safer the borders. Safer the borders, safer internal security, because there are lesser people who have nothing to do. Who would throw stones for $50 or $500, whatever was the going rate. The safer you make it, the more inclusive you make it, and the lesser Hindu-Muslim you talk about, the better it is. Because Hindu-Muslim is a narrative that was given to us by the British. It is colonial mindset that is still not going out because Congress is somehow keeping it alive.
Only Congress is keeping it alive, you would say, or all political forces for their own benefit?
I feel in the past 5 years, BJP has not spoken too much about Hindu-Muslim. I don't think they are talking about polarization.
But in this election, Modi has said.
Yeah, this election, surprisingly, the political rallies, that came as a surprise to me also.
He polarized it big time, to be very fair.
Fair, but I didn't think he would bring that up.
Like Congress wants to give away all your wealth to Muslims,
Yeah.
or who have fortune.
See, I think he just wanted to give it a dramatic push so that it would get inside the...
Some experts are saying that there is some fear that, the turnout is low, BJP is a bit jittery, that's why this polarizing tactics are being used. You think that...
all these people, they have different calculations, but nobody can say anything right until the 4th of June. Everybody will have to wait for that. It could be 250, could be 450, hell, could be 500. Because yesterday only Amit Shah said in some interview that I want to go for all 534, 39 seats.
543.
Whatever it is.
So you think they'll win all 5?
No, it's not possible. It's not going to happen.
400 is possible.
Happen. See, it is possible on paper, but whether it's going to actually happen or not, it seems difficult to me, to be honest. It's
so even 290, 300 is possible on paper, right?
So on paper, it's last time only, no? They got 302 last time only.
No, I'm saying not going above that is also possible.
Yeah. Anything is possible. Because
so you think that sometimes the government, to keep them in check and, not let them become too arrogant, a majority, but slightly, decent majority, like conservative majority is required. Like if you give them 400, then they can do what they want. They can change the constitution.
Give them 300, they're going to do what they want.
They can't change the constitution. You need some 2/3 majority or something.
Yeah. So it's okay. They're not looking to change the constitution. If they want to change the constitution, they'll change it any which ways.
But then if you give them the power to do that,
they'll break governments. They'll buy MLAs. They'll manage our MPs. They'll manage one way.
But to manage 100 would be difficult. No, so if they get 300, there is still, at least for the next 5 years, nothing of that sort can happen.
See, if you ask me honestly, the thing in this is that why would you not want it to happen? There are certain parts of the constitution that need to be changed, that need to be updated.
But see, I'm saying when you're giving that power to a group of people, how do you know that they think like that? Okay, let me put it another way. These group of people might think the way you think, but within that group, a few people might change and they might think differently. So
exactly,
when you are giving someone the power to change the constitution, you understand that power is absolute. You can't say make the changes which I like.
But here what happens is, see, when you're voting for BJP, you know what kind of changes are going to come in.
We are guessing that.
I don't know what. Large scale, you know what their thought process is.
So my point is, let's look at it from a 10-year horizon or 15-year horizon. Today, if BJP give the power to BJP to change the constitution, the first thing they do is one party rule. We are talking about an extreme, okay? They make it one party rule, no elections, okay? But as time goes by, Modi retires, Amit Shah retires, there are some other BJP people who come in. They are thinking differently, leftist, not what we agree with, or extreme right wing, extreme left wing, and they will say that we want to come up with a law where Indian culture is a threat. When girls go to malls, they can't wear certain type of clothes. Then what do you do?
I don't think India is ever going to become an Afghanistan.
No, I'm giving an example. I'm saying, see, nothing is going to happen. But I'm saying when you're giving someone the power to change it, they can make any kind of changes, can't they?
See, they can make any kind of...
Because what is UCC? See, tell me one thing. Uniform Civil Code. A person in South India gets married in a different way. A person, apart from the religious, rituals that you have cultural, different communities, get married in different ways. Some have number of fairas are different. Christians get married a certain way. Everyone gets, Muslims say, Kabul, they get married a different way. So what does UCC do then? Do you tell them everyone get married in the same way?
I don't think so.
So then what? How will UCC apply? What is UCC?
I think they just want one nation, one law, as in basically.
No, so how is UCC going to apply? You and me wear the same kind of clothes. Is that how?
Yeah, it's going to cut.
So it will coincide with the democratic thing that you are allowed. So how does UCC apply?
What is the thing is that there are certain factions where I believe, I don't know this factually whether it's right or wrong. This is what I believe, that today there are some parts of a Sharia law that are being followed in India.
Correct.
Which the government is not exactly comfortable
Correct.
with. So what they're saying is that one land should have one law.
Sharia laws or Muslim personal laws cannot apply as far as India is concerned. That is what
the best thing is that no, as far as all Indians are concerned, we want one law. They are not saying Sharia should not apply.
But then the penal code is anyway the same for all Indian penal code.
So that's the thing. It's not. No, see, in the Sharia law also, this is hypocritical. Because what is happening is that they are only picking a few parts of the
But now if you commit a crime, you cannot escape now saying Sharia. Here, if some person from a Muslim community would commit a crime, the police would come and arrest him. So where does the Sharia law apply then?
So it applies only now. I think they are able to have more than one marriage is what I understand.
You're not allowed by law now.
By now.
Yeah.
But
so I'm saying now going forward.
Still doing it.
But who do you think the UCC is going to cause up the biggest disadvantage according to you?
I think it's not going to cause a disadvantage to anybody. I think honestly the
Hindus.
No, I think
what happens to the HEF, Hindu undivided family? That's the first thing that goes out.
Yeah, it's going to go.
So it's the biggest tax benefit Hindus are getting.
So they should not be getting it. Everybody should be taxed at the same rate.
So then UCC is not going to favor. That is what I was coming to. Who does it favor then?
It favors a common average citizen of India. I think this in one country it has to be one law. And if you
think it's more a gimmick than a possibility, because how do you apply UCC is what my question is. What do you do?
So we have to read the whole draft for that. What are
okay, tell me one thing. Let's put it this way. We live in metro cities, fair enough. But from the time we get up in the morning till we go out for our work, for our pleasure, whatever, we go out, have a meal, whatever, and we come back home. What is it in the day that we do which we won't be able to do if UCC comes in?
Nothing.
So what does it
continue?
What does it change?
Is
it for a certain section or certain kind of people who probably are not the good elements? They can probably be made to fall in line.
I'll tell you what the problem here is. The problem here is that there is a selective absorption of laws. Even the personal laws that are being followed by the Muslims or whatever. Here the issue is that here you are allowed to marry 3 times, 4 times, whatever is their limit.
But are you allowed now?
I'm India sure about it. So I'm the wrong person to comment on it. But what I'm trying to say is that this is one thing that they are following from the Sharia law. Now, as per the Sharia law, if you're caught stealing, your hand should be chopped off. So why
follow that as well? I think Amit Shah said that at one of the India Today interviews.
Exactly.
That if you're following Sharia, then follow the whole thing. Correct. Fair.
This is the problem.
Correct.
And why should Hindus also be given a lower tax rate for what? Everybody's an Indian. Everybody should be taxed at the same rate. Whether it's a Hindu or a Muslim, that is, I don't think that is okay. Just because you're born in a Hindu family should not mean that you pay 2-5% of lower tax. That's not okay. Everybody should be paying the same tax.
I think one of the questions that I have is, it's for the same question is applying to 2 eras. Pre-2014 era, was there an attempt to distort history? Post-2014 era, is there an attempt to distort history?
See, what we know as history is always something that has been written by the victor. Every time somebody wins, they write their own history. Correct? So the history that we were following up till 2014 was a history that was written by the Mughals and the Congress together.
No, what I was, shocked about is, this one very, famous podcaster, he had gone to one of the institutes, education institutes, and he was taking opinions of students, young students, and asking them how was Mahatma Gandhi and all those things. One of the students, I was shocked to see that he compared him to Kasab. He said that, Gandhi was killed by Godse. Was it right or wrong? So he's saying that Kasab was killed as well. He was hanged till death. So what is wrong? So he compared him. So I got a little scared that, what kind of history are these guys reading? They are saying that, see, what I'm saying is that not agreeing with Gandhi and, saying that he has done no good, all of that is fair. But justifying someone being killed.
So this is not what they are being taught in history. If you check their...
But that means that there is so much of data which is wrong has been fed inside him that he feels like it was right to kill Gandhi.
This is a social media problem.
So then there is attempt to distort. I didn't say that the government is distorting history. I'm saying is there an attempt to distort history?
History is not being distorted. There are different narratives that are put out. Which one you decide to select and which one you decide to continue talking about.
But to this extent, it can be distorted that you forget that there was one person who was a part of freedom struggle, freedom fight. Whether you agreed with the way he fought freedom or no, that is absolutely debatable. But you saying that he was, he deserved to be killed because of certain things he did and did and supporting Godse and saying...
Yeah, partition of India is what people are holding him responsible for today.
No, I'm saying that is in hindsight, we have the wisdom to say that everything went this way, it was wrong and all that. But while he was doing it, see, I can understand a person feeling that, people should remember me, that I was good for everyone. I want the limelight, I want to hold the limelight. Person taking a decision out of that mindset is fine. But for someone to say that he should be killed, then you are defeating the whole purpose of non-violence or whatever.
This has got nothing to do with the history that is being taught in these institutes. This has got to do with the amount of shit that is fed on social media.
So was there an attempt to distort pre-2014 when Savarkar used to never be spoken of by Congress governments, for his inputs, and Sardar Patel was never respected and spoken of highly.
They're always going to have their favorites. They're always going to lend themselves to one cause, which is a part of their brand or whatever, however they want to take it forward, their government. So there has to be something from the past, right? They have to show some kind of lineage. They have to show some kind of political thought process, some kind of linkage to the past and moving forward.
So they manipulate the history the way they want.
Yeah, they manipulate. It's not the history that they are manipulating. They are presenting a show to you. Whether you listen to it or not is up to you. See, there's a lot of people like you and me who don't believe any of these things. At the end of the day, whether you're distorting the history or not is not my problem. My problem here is what are you going to do forward for the next 5 years for me to review my work
Future is
today?
the question. History is not the...
History, okay, fine. You can keep arguing whether you came from an ape or an ape came from you. That is secondary. You're the question.
What are you going to do for the human being that exists today? Talk about that.
And what policies are you going to bring in for me for the next 5 years? See, my problem with the election manifesto of Congress is, of course, is well distribution and all. Some parts of it, well distribution and all a little bit this caste census and all doesn't seem very.
See, I think what happens is, I don't want to hint at anything, but when you know that you're never going to, become something, then you can say so many things that if I become something, I'll do this.
No, but why?
Because you're not going to.
But why would you think that you're not going to become like that? That means that your ambition is only not there in the right place, right?
No, if they're realistic, then they would know why.
But if they're realistic, why can't you get 120 seats? I can see Congress getting 120 seats. If they're realistic, they can easily get that much. And then you have enough of regional allies. What's the problem here is that in the regional allies, what is happening is that in Maharashtra, BJP is taking their vote share and going. Like you said before, they are taking the 37-38% and going. Now, what is happening to the rest of it is the rest.
Not in Maharashtra though. This was a pan-India vote. Exactly. Somewhere must be more. Somewhere must be.
That in case of Maharashtra, now what has happened that there are so many political parties. Even if they come together, the government is never going to be strong because everyone is going to have their own agenda.
Correct. So on their own set of voters to satisfy. One person comes up with one policy, it'll upset the other person's voters. That's what happens.
Because here now what is happening in the opposition today, you have a Shiv Sena, which is a right-wing party. And then you have a CPIM, which is a left-wing party.
It's true.
And then you have an NCP, which is a capitalistic party. So here you have three absolute different mindsets. That's why when they came up with the Mahavikas Aghadi also, what they said at that point of time is we're going to work on a common minimum program. Now you are working on a common minimum program. This itself in the national interest. What do you mean by minimum program?
Minimum this much should happen.
No.
That's what a common minimum program is.
Common minimum program is like we are agreeing only on these 4-5 things, and
These are the good things that will surely happen. Other
Exactly.
things we'll agree, we'll disagree.
We also
we
don't
don't
know.
know.
Exactly. Now you see, I'll tell you why Modi ji is such a great leader. You see the last rally that he did in Tamil Nadu. You see how he started talking.
By addressing him the language.
No, he said, I'm sorry, I can't speak so much of Tamil. Though I'm the Prime Minister, I'm very sorry that I can't speak your language. So I'm going to continue talking in Hindi, but I beg your forgiveness for this. This is what makes him popular. He doesn't impose, he imposes what he wants on you, but he imposes it imposes it with the judiciary and with the government and with the policy. But
That's what next
when
I was
he's talking to you,
you don't feel
that way, that he's trying to, overpower you. That's one thing. And he has a connect with the masses. Which Congress leader is going down to that level where he's able to connect with the grassroots?
no leader. That's what we spoke about.
What Modi said that I'm one of you. Now everybody knows that Rahul Gandhi is not one of them. So this is where the big shift is there. And Rahul Gandhi can say, even though I'm not you, but I still understand what you're going through.
But for that, he actually has to understand, right?
I'm sure he does. I mean, he's also senior leader. I mean, he's just 1 or 2 years.
Senior leader.
He's 1 or 2
In terms of age.
It's what?
Political acumen is what would make you senior. I mean, 20 years down the line, if we go into politics, we wouldn't be senior leaders, right?
Rishabh, he has seen a lot of politics. It's not right to throw them off the balcony.
No, we are all talking about in the the status that exists today. Tomorrow anything can happen, but what we've seen of him up till now is what we are commenting on.
A party is not made up only of the leader. There's a think tank behind the leader. What I'm telling you is that the Congress think tank is not doing the job.
No, but from what I've heard, from a lot of people, some are closely associated with Congress, they say that there is a, funny enough, Congress says that democracy is in danger, but the democracy that doesn't exist mostly is in the Congress party itself, is that all the decisions come from top. No one has a say. Whereas in BJP, when they are ruling the country, you get that impression that they want to rule everything, they do want to do everything. But in BJP, there is a big RSS cadre, there is a big party leadership, and there are people who are involved in the decision making. At least the process happens that way. Still, what Modi and Shah want might be happening, but it still goes through a process. In Congress, the process doesn't exist. So sometimes you even got to pretend to be following the process, even if you're not. They don't even pretend to be following the process. And which then you spoke of the judiciary. One of the my last question, the most important is probably that is the judiciary compromised, or was it ever was?
I don't think so. Because even yesterday, that there was an interview of CGI Chandrachud.
He is very good.
Yeah, he is very.
I like him. Yeah.
And he's very open also in his views. He's very he goes on to say whatever he feels.
I mean, I've not heard him say anything wrong. Let's put it.
No, and he's rapped the BJP multiple times.
Yeah. But see, that's what I'm saying. When some of them, I spoke to, about especially the Supreme Court, when I'm talking about judiciary, because higher courts and lower courts, everyone knows, I mean, little bit of influence can be there. As far as Supreme Court is concerned and Justice Chandrachud is concerned, most people who you speak to, you will get like 50% saying that, he's pro-BJP and 50% saying that he's wrapped BJP around. The moment you have two, views, that means you're doing a good job. Because if both people say that you are against this one and against that one, that means you are somewhere in the middle. And the court has to be somewhere in the middle, right? The judiciary can't be applied their mind and saying that this is good according to me, so this will happen. They have to judge a case based on the merit. Whether it's the, Ram Mandir case, the abrogation of 370 or whatever it might be. They have to be, judge it on the basis of the merits, right?
They have to have an independent thought process. It cannot be influenced by any political act.
I think what judiciary, people take it wrongly that the government influences judiciary. I think what judiciary can ever get influences by the pulse of the nation. I mean, if the case comes to a judge where, he wants to decide a case in one way, and if the major chunk of the population thinks otherwise or thinks this is good, then I think the judge can feel the heat. And that is, I don't think that is wrong, because if a major chunk of the population wants that, if it's not an individual case, if it's like a policy case or something like that, then I think the judge is very well within his rights to change his mind. If the people want it, that is fair enough.
Frankly,
to that extent, judiciary would be influenced, I think.
I don't think the judiciary in this country is influenceable, because the thing is that when there are policies that have to be done, there is a bench of Supreme Court judges. It's not only one.
Yeah, but there are still 5 people. If like crores of people don't want something to happen, how are 5 people going to have the courage to overturn it?
No. They will. If time ever comes, they will, because that one thing is that
time has it come ever. But we have seen the judges ducking when such times have come. I'm saying
sometimes
they've not been influenced by the government. I'm saying they've been influenced by the people. and which again I see, is as like a, probably victory of the democracy. Because if a certain people, a big section of people wanted a certain way, and that's the right thing to do, and the judges do get influenced by it, I think you rather get influenced by the people than the government, right? So now again we come back to the question from where we started. Like, what do you think about the election in closing thoughts?
See, there is a saffron wave. Looks like BJP will form a majority government as they always have. NDA, but BJP will be in majority on its own.
Majority mark.
So, and I honestly feel that for the nation, we need a government in majority. Otherwise, no policies can be taken care of. And right now, even the geopolitical stuff that is happening all around the world, it's better that we have a stable government.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of anti-national forces are also working against the country, against our own, for our own good.
Against the interest.
Yeah, for our own good. So it is necessary for us to have this. And for the people, it's very simple. Cast your vote, don't vote your caste. This is a big problem that is there in rural India. You need to think about who you're voting for.
True. On that note, we'll end today's conversation. We've covered a lot. There's a lot more we can cover. But let's keep something for...
We'll give something for post-election.
4th June.
What we were looking for from the government now. It'll be very interesting.
So much.
Thank you.